Frank Raymond Ferney, Aviation Metalsmith Chief. I retired in 1988 and came back down here and started looking for a job. Worked a contractor job here for about half a year or so, and then I got picked up with the Federal Service. With Federal Service, I worked the T-45 program, which was the new jet trainer for the Navy kids coming into Pensacola. I did all the engineering and R&M, reliability, maintainability, did all that for them, and also wrote and scrubbed all their publications, you know, for the manuals on how to repair these aircraft. When I went on the T-45 program I was telling you about, that put me on the USS Eisenhower. I was on the Ike out of Florida. So there was 3 carriers that I was aboard in my career, which was, you know, really exciting. While I was there, I got the opportunity in 2004, to go to an unmanned air vehicle program, which I jumped on it. That program then launched me into working with the Pioneer unmanned air vehicle. We worked here at Pax River, and we worked with the Marines and the Navy. They both had them. The Marines used them in combat, and they used them on the ground for surveillance. They'd fly them out ahead of the platoons looking for enemy, and then they'd come back and land. The Navy used them on ships. The thing is they couldn't land on a ship. So what they use on a ship is a net. Put up this big net that looks like a big badminton net, huge, and the planes would actually fly into the net on the back of the ship and collapse and come down, and we'd break a propeller every time. And that's how we recovered them. Those aircraft were also used in Bosnia. This is where I got my first taste of going with the Marines to Bosnia. In 2006, we had a mission over there with the Marines to take the Pioneers over there, and we went over there. The Serbs were actually wiping out all the Croats. It was a bad war. They were killing each other. Our mission was the Marines were going over to intercept and see what was going on with these Pioneer aircraft. We could go out and surveil the area, look for people that were possibly going to go into these towns and kill people. So we had some problems with the engines. I was the director of the Pioneer program. So they called down and said, the general over in Bosnia needs somebody to come over there and fix these damn these damn engines. Whoa. So our commander goes, hey, called me up and says, I need 2 people to go over there with these new, because we fixed the big end bearings, which were the things that were falling apart on these inside the engine. So we had some new engines that we had. He says, I want you to take those engines over there. Somebody has to be with them at all times, all the way over, and take them right into the squadron. So it was me, and I had a first class ADJ mech with me. We flew over there on commercial, went into Germany. From Germany, we were in Germany, and we had 4 engines in these boxes. And the only way we could get into where the Marines were in Bosnia on this rock quarry was to fly on a C-130 gunship. So while we were there, we went over to the air ops and said, hey, we got to get on that gunship, you know. And the kid goes behind the counter. He says, there's nobody gets on those gunships. He says, nobody. I says, well, I need to get on there with these engines. The general wants them. He says, no, we don't do that. He says, you can't do that. You're not allowed on there. So I had an attaché with me that met us over there. I said, I need you to call the general up there and let him know that we're stuck here. We can't get in, you know. So this is a funny story. He calls the general. And this was like the whole general of that European theater for all the ops that's going on. He gets him on the phone and says, I have these 2 guys here. He knew about us. He says, they both need to get on this ship, on the gunship, and they're not letting them get on. And he said, let me talk to him. And he hands it to that kid. It was a kid. He was a staff sergeant or something. He goes, yes, sir. Who? And he told him who he was. He goes, yes, sir. No, he said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir, I'll have them on there in 5 minutes. He makes a call and a golf cart pulls up. Me and Bobby gets on this golf cart, and we go down and get on this C-130 gunship. This is the one that has the Gatling gun hanging out the side of the aircraft. The front of the plane's painted with shark teeth. I mean, unbelievable. So we get on it and we take off. The crew never knew who we were. They thought we were CIA, we think, because I was a civilian and he was a Navy guy, but we had our our flight suits on. They didn't know who we were, and somebody had to have power to get on that airplane because nobody could, but we felt good about it. So we're sitting in the jump seats in the back, the pilot comes on and says, "Hey, you two guys back there," he says, "we're going to be flying in here shortly." He says, "Man one of the portholes and look for any contrails coming up out of the ground. That would be rocket contrails coming at us. I need to know to launch the chaff so we can avoid getting hit with a missile, So Bobby and I are going, holy. So we're looking out the window, the whole way in. We land in Bosnia and we taxi out. He says, "We can't stop. We cannot stop the airplane. You got to run out the airplane while it's running." And we had 4 engines on a pallet, and the crew, the loadmaster was there, So they had snipers up on the hills. So they lower the ramp down, and there's all these Humvees from the Marines show up, and this guy kicks that pallet, and it rolls down on these rollers, rolls out onto the flight line, and the Humvees surrounded it, to get the engines. And we're standing there. He says, "Go!" And then 2 Humvees come up, blocked us on both sides, and we ran down. And you ever try to get off of an escalator when it's moved? We started running down there and jumped off, and the Humvees surrounded us. We climbed in the back and laid down, and then off we went up through the town of Tuzla. And what a sight! People with buckboards with oxen carrying fruit, housing with clothes hanging over the balconies, and all these people were just so poor, it's just sickening, Went through the town, with a guy up on the top with a big machine gun, we went through the town. Up the mountain we went into a rock quarry is where our base was. And that's where we stayed up there. I was up there for a couple weeks. And we got through that. Came back down, I met with the general, we got all the engines taken squared away, and I flew back to Germany and we came back.